Hi guys, posted by Callum here. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm very delighted to be here with Rob Ozini. Rob,
How
going to
are
be
we?
here. How are you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Has yeah, been a while since we've done a video. And yeah, since my last video, we've got a new manager. David Wagner is in the door. Um, Rob, what have you made of his start?
Yeah, I mean, instant kind of improvement, but then again, you could say it didn't take a lot with under Smith and Shakespeare. Still a long way to go as yet. I think any kind of time a manager comes in during the season, the key time for us to really judge him is after he's had a pre-season and a summer to get the signings that he wants.
Yeah,
But so far so good. I'm happy with it. I mean, maybe he wasn't my go-to, but at the moment it it's looking okay. It's looking okay at the moment. That's the best way I'd say.
yeah. There was kind of a mixed response, wasn't there, when the rumours started that he was about to join because he had been sacked. I think he hadn't
Mm.
been at the club for a while. It was a similar maybe to Dean Smith, going for someone who wasn't in the job. He obviously had the experience of Webber before, so some people were thinking, and because the opinion of Webber by fans has maybe changed a little bit. I'd say across the board, some people may be thinking a bit of an easy appointment, but you're right. The start was there was some promise there. It's maybe the manager bounce has maybe stopped now. I think you could say.
Yeah, I think it's stopped now. Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, we're not looking too bad, but there's been some great ones. I thought the Millwall win was
Mm,
brilliant. That whether I don't think we would have gone there with Smith and took 3 points off him. Um, but you get other nights like the Huddersfield game where this should be a walk in the park, and obviously it wasn't. You were there, obviously.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I think
yeah,
what I noticed about our team for the Huddersfield game was it just. I think it's a reason why we're not because we have got some good players. I think for the championship, but I wouldn't say there's a team there. There's a lot of
mm,
individuals. There's players who are out of contract in the summer. There's a bit of tiredness. I reckon there's definitely tiredness from the fans in that I think we have maybe lost it a little bit, and we're maybe not giving the best. I think it's fair play away. I think we are giving a good atmosphere, but still, I think the consensus is we need to be. I don't know. Something about the club needs to change because the whole up down thing. Do you think there's maybe a bit of boredom there now?
yeah. I think there probably is.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, just to ask yourself, do you think we need like a refresh in players? Do you think we need kind of to kind of obviously I know some players are coming up to the end of their contract, but do you feel we need to sign quite a lot of new players and get rid of what we've got right now and somewhat not all of
Yeah,
them obviously, but
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think we've got to because I'm not an accountant, but I know the FFP thing. You've always got to watch out with
yeah,
in the championship. And I know our expenditure for wages is probably quite high, one of the highest, I reckon, in the championship. And we don't have a ridiculously rich owner. So I reckon there's going to have to be a sale. At least one of us there. So whether that's Max Aarons, Sarah,
mm,
someone young with years on the contract like Nunes, anyone we can generate some money for. I reckon there'll have to be someone, Gun potentially. Someone will have to go,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
out of contract players. I think in a way, blessing in disguise potentially. You remember when Farke came in all them years ago, and it took the couple of summers to rebuild, and we know what Wagner did with Huddersfield. So I think there can be positivity in that
mm,
respect. I'm going to get on to a couple. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Like Kieran Dowell. I mean, not everyone was liking him under Dean Smith in this season, but I've always kind of thought, he can do it in the championship. That left foot of his, that little bit of crazy. He can pick out that good pass. He's not always the most glamorous player, but he can get it done in the championship. And out of contract, I think we're seeing. I know there are a few to be fair, and we'll get onto them in a minute. But Dowell and Pukki, do you think those two stay at Norwich City past the summer?
um I think Dow is a yes. I think he's staying.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, I don't know about Pookie. I'm really unsure about Pookie. I don't know where his head kind of lies with the club. But yeah, I think you're right with Dow. I think Championship is a good level for him. The that's the only awkward thing when we go up is that transitional period of the fact that a lot of these players aren't the level for the Premier League. But Championship at best. But also getting back to Wagner coming in, instantly Dow's looked a lot better under Wagner, and I think that just shows the better coach. So yeah, I think Dow will stay. I think he knows he can. There's still work to be done with himself here at the club. Maybe he gives it another couple of seasons and kind of then sees where he's out with things. But I think I'd like to think he's happy there. But yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm not entirely that confident he would, because I reckon he's not an old player, is he, Dowell? He's not. He's definitely got some.
No, is he? I think he's at the the so-called, what they say, that the peak age of his career right now,
Yeah,
which
but
is
I
obviously
think
he's not. Yeah, he's obviously not like I'd say he was better in his younger days with Everton at the moment than he is now. But yeah,
well, those loan spells from Everton. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
I mean, he did play against Norwich, didn't he, for Everton in the Premier League? I think one of his Premier League games he did play for Everton was against Norwich. Yeah, back in the day. But definitely that Forest loan spell he had all them years ago, very promising. Another one, Pukki. I mean, I love my Norwich City. I love Timu. I have done ever since he came. I mean, the whole free transfer. I mean, what a story it's been. And despite the love I have for both Norwich and Timu, I would be a little bit confused at him for wanting to stay at Norwich, because you just have to think at the moment he's got that big contract in him, hasn't he? And I don't think he's going to get that at Norwich. And I'm obviously I want him to stay. I would be a little bit surprised and kind of go, why is he doing that for? I mean, Rob, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Am I talking rubbish?
No, I get what you mean. I mean, I don't know whether it's one of those where he. I think if he understands that he's still a big favoured player, not only by the club but the fans, and like you say,
goals have dried up, haven't they, a little bit recently?
They have. He does look. I mean, whether he's scoring or not, he still has what I think anyway the best work rate on the field. When these games start, I mean, the goals are dried up a little. I mean, he's struggling to take on the 50-50s with a lot of these defenders now, and when the ball past them. But I don't know. I'd absolutely love him to stay, but I know what you mean. I think the time has come now where perhaps he's it's run its course now past Norwich, and he'll slowly move on. It'll be a shame, like you say. I mean, I really like him still. I know he's not banging in 20 plus goals this season, but still he's one of our best players still. I think.
I think, yeah, and it's just it's a story, isn't it? And maybe it is that natural end, and you don't want to admit it, maybe, because but you have to think about the future. I think it's maybe a shame that so far, after this video, after the international break happens, so I've got Italy, England on in the background, just checking what's going on. After the international break, we don't know if Ida could come on and score all these goals, and because at the moment he's not quite got the shooting boots. Sargent, did have the shooting boots for a while under Dean Smith. We found it, and now I don't know. Maybe it's because he's just that guy running out on the wing again, just running and working hard, which didn't really work for him in the Prem, because and it just seems like he's lost his confidence. He's kind of got that really poor touch. It's really showing again. I don't know if there's a solution with him at the moment, or if he'll improve under Wagner. Would like to think so, but my worry is, if Pukki goes, are Sargent and Ida, are they going to be enough to kind of, be that really consistent man up front for us? Because every team needs one.
They do, yeah. I mean, I got really surprised by Ida, because I thought this is going to be his season. I mean, I remember going to West Ham away last season in the Premier League, and he came on at the end, had a really, really good game. And I looked at who he had next, and it was Everton. And I thought, yeah, he's going to score against Everton. And he did get one goal in that game. And he had a very good kind of a small, good bit of form towards that part of the Premier League season. So I thought he's going to go in the Championship. He's a tall player. He's physical. He can take on the 50-50s well, a lot better than Pukki. You kind of like that physicality comparison between the two. He's definitely up there more to have the better strength to win in the ball, but he's just not hit it off really this season. It's been a bit strange and a bit odd. I mean, I don't know whether and with Sargent, sorry, I don't know whether I prefer him on the wing or the striking position. I mean, he's got the pace for the wingers, for the winger role, but at the end of the day, the striker role. I mean, again, he's another player which, like, I remember when we played Millwall, the reverse fixture, the start of the season at home. He won that ball off the Millwall player and kind of then ran up the field, and he's got a good bit of aggression, you know. So I don't know where I like to suit him, but I think if Pukki goes, we do need a striker just as a backup. I don't think we can rely on the youth here. Like you say, we need a kind of whatever league we're in next season, we need a good goal scorer here.
Yeah, and I'll get onto a point later on with whatever league we're in here. We'll get on that in a minute. But yeah, good point regarding Sargent. You know, I remember those early games. You know, under Dean Smith, some of the games were really poor, but Sargent, you know, was one of the bright lights, and he was scoring some of these goals. And you were thinking, you know, Pukki's amazing, but you know the headers and you say the aggression that he had. You're like, Pukki doesn't score them types of goals. He's the different kind of striker we have, and you know, if we can keep both Pukki and Sargent happy together, you know, we can make that work. But it doesn't always work like that, I'm afraid. And I think Sargent, you know, that he's not in the best form of his life right now. But we'll see how that goes. You make a good point regarding what league we're going to be in next season. First of all, I'll ask you: are we going to finish in the top 6 this season?
I think we will. I think we will. I fear if Middlesbrough are in that playoffs with us, I don't think we'll go up. If Middlesbrough win the second place and steal it off Sheffield United, then I think we've got a better chance, without a doubt. But I'm probably going to say that we will be in the Championship next season. I don't think we will go up either way, wherever Middlesbrough are. But I just fear Middlesbrough just because of how well organised they look. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We could finish in the top 6. I think there's a very good chance as well, obviously, that we're going to be in the Championship. And I'm going to predict we might just fall a little bit short of the top 6 this season.
A lot of people on Twitter keep saying about you know, Middlesbrough are going to get their revenge on us if they finish on the playoffs. You know, that's if we get to the final, obviously.
Well, yeah, I think fair play if they do. They've had a really good season. I mean, I'm a bit annoyed about Aaron Ramsey, you know, kind of going over there and like being injured and leaving us. But you know, that is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, if we have to look at a shining light, it means that we can kind of develop our own players. You know, with Aaron Ramsey going over there. But you know, fair play to Middlesbrough and Carrick. I mean, what a job he's done there. So you know, you can't really be too angry there. And out of all the teams, if out of the current, you know, sort of playoff contenders, you say they're the ones that I think really would deserve to go up. Burnley, obviously, a lot of people say parachute payments, which is obviously we've been branded with all that before. It's not been the most exciting up there at the top of the Championship, but you know they've got the job done. Fair play to them, and company's done a good job. So gives in like what is a really new look Burnley, that new style that they've got. So you know, it's, you know, fair play. I think we might just fall a little bit short. So we'll see. But would if we did go up, like, it would be more embarrassing than last time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think I think be patient with this one. Just let us have a couple more seasons in the Championship as yet. Develop on some players, like you say. You know, develop on some players. But I think it would be a bigger embarrassment story if we went up. I mean, we're not ready, are we?
No, not at all. I mean, that gap is going. I mean, look how competitive it is, and you know the quality of some of these players in this relegation battle at the moment in the Prem. I mean, any team, like, I'm looking at other teams and not picking on them because I think they're a class club, really well run. But Luton, if they went up, you know, the gap their budget and the Prem's budget would be, I mean, because all these other teams have had the years of Prem money. I mean, the gap is just getting so wide. And you look at the Championship right now, even at the top, when you look at Sheffield United and Burnley, it's just and all the way down to the bottom, it's just a league full of transfer embargoes, administrations, you know, points deductions. It's just a really messy league which lacks funding, and owners, because due to restraints, can't afford to really fund the team for that reason. They also can't afford to fund it because there's no real money in it, because they don't have like the commercial aspect that the big clubs in the Prem would have. So it's there's no real profit in it. And I think, you know, the Championship's going to have some real issues over the next few years. And I mean, this is another thing. I mean, we've benefited off parachute payments, Norwich. We can't deny that. But do I think getting rid of parachute payments is the right idea? I know people like Gary Neville have been kind of promoting that idea, and I don't think that's going to work at all personally. But we'll see. We'll watch in the next few years as the championship begins to implode. But in the meantime, we've got to do a good job for the end to the end of this season. Trying to stay up. I mean, who would you like to see more of, Rob? This who do you want to see more from? Because I feel like there's been a few players this year that have just been, they haven't quite shone enough. If you get what I'm saying, they just haven't. And this is a league where we're supposed to be pretty decent in. Who have you
Yeah.
to see deliver a little bit more?
Yes, good question. That because like you say, that there are a few you could probably pick up. I want to see more from Tzoles. I mean, maybe again, he could kind of have the excuse of give him time, maybe, because I know when he did return to the club, there was that fitness issue. But I do want to see more of him, whether that's this season or next season. I think definitely next season. After he's had a summer. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else there is. I mean, Giannoulis potentially. I mean, he's a bit of a hot-headed player. I've noticed when he's on the field. Kind of soon leaps out with things. Next season as well, potentially when Sam McCallum's kind of match ready again. I believe he's still out, isn't he? Is he still out? Or is he...
I don't know when he'll be back.
Yeah.
Well, we've had Giannoulis, the last few games. He's an interesting player, isn't he, Dimmy? I mean, like.
Yeah,
it's kind of, when I've seen him, well, in the past anyway, I thought, he's got something about him. But this season, he has had some really suspect defending, and I know defending wasn't really his game anyway. He was more of that attacking fullback. But I think this season, he has been very suspect. And for a player with, well, for our standards, spent what is he, like $6 million or something? That's quite considerable money, isn't it?
That's for us. Yeah,
So, and he hasn't really been quite. I mean, he probably misses, the days when he came in on loan and, he had Skip and Buendia and, it was all happy. And obviously now it's all a bit random, as I said.
All over the place. Yeah. I mean, Eder and Sargent as well. They need to step it up more.
Yeah, and I don't want to pick on our own players, but you're right. I think there's some good examples. And Jollis, last season he didn't seem to. I never got the impression when I watched him on the pitch that he really wanted to play for Norwich. I feel like he looked, as you said, he looked a little bit lost. And I remember then there was like noise about how he wasn't in the under 23s. He didn't want to play for the under 23s. He went off on loan, and he's not like, I know he scored against Birmingham, didn't he? That was a good goal, to be fair. Good finish.
Yeah.
Obviously not as good as that Nunes goal, that game, but
yeah.
What all that was, but we still, there's something there, isn't there? We need to kind of get, because I mean, as I said, that he really for us was a lot of money. I mean, for a normal Prem club, maybe that's just a normal signing. If he flops, they just get rid of him. But for us, that's someone who we're looking at to really get some good performances out of, because otherwise for that money we could have in some ways wasted it and got someone really old, like 30, but they could have either kept us up, got us up, what I'm saying, depending if we're talking about Prem or Championship transfer windows. But it's one of them things. But I'll ask again, I kind of asked who you want to see more of, who do you want to see step it up a little bit. Who's been your player of the season?
I would probably say I'm gonna go with, again, it might be a bit of a controversial one potentially, but I think a few people will still agree with me, but maybe Liam Gibbs, only because it was a massive surprise.
I'm a bit surprised about that one, mate, but yeah, I'll listen to you.
Potentially, like, I kind of want to maybe point towards Sarah, but I feel the start of the season he was very, very kind of, obviously I know he didn't get the minutes there at the start of the season, but he hadn't peaked out his form yet in this Norwich City side at the start of the season. He's obviously came through now and doing well as well. Nunes was very hot and cold throughout the season. Had his small moments and small doses as well, of good games. But I want to say maybe it would be between Liam Gibbs, because he was a massive surprise. I didn't expect him to kind of have this big effect on this team, or potentially Angus Gunn. Just because he
a bit more.
Yeah, just because of how he has been playing very well. and yeah, you kind of there's a lot of good attacking players in this team. In this championship season, and he's kept a lot of teams quiet, this season. But yeah, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, so I've kind of in my head thought of 3 candidates. Liam Gibbs is not one of them, but
yeah, no, fair enough. It's only because it was a massive surprise.
No, fair enough on your opinion. Fair enough. Obviously, I've got 3 players in mind. I think even though, and as you made a great point, Sarah took him a while to get involved. But because of he's shown he actually has got genuine quality in my opinion. He's definitely a candidate for me, player of the season, no doubt. So Sarah. Angus Gunn, I've always been a Cruel kind of. I've always, wanted Cruel. I've always been saying, Cruel leadership, and I think Wagner had that same opinion. And when he came in, which I kind of welcomed because I've always been a massive fan of Tim Krul. I think he's a great goalkeeper and deserves a lot of respect. Gets into a lot of teams in the Championship. But Angus Gunn's been really good this season. I'm impressed by him. I think he's put in a really good, he's put in a great performance for himself and to show the club, and you've got to look at me now as the first choice, and because otherwise I think he would have maybe got a bit tired and looked to have left. But yeah, I think we've got the future goalkeeper of Norwich City long term now, and fair play to him on his new call up to Scotland, because I'm sure that makes Brian really proud, and good luck to him with that. He's definitely a candidate. So Sarah, Gunn, and who was the other one I was just thinking could be? And this is I wouldn't pick him. He'd be like the last on this. It'd be Sarah and Gunn would be my main two. But a shout out to McLean. I don't.
Yeah, that's a very good shout. Yeah.
Call him, because there's a lot of games I shout at him. Was he when I'm watching? I'm kind of going. He's frustrating because he makes errors.
Yeah.
But there is a reason he gets into the Norwich team. He's a workhorse. He wants to be here. You can tell he wants to be here. You need to like him on the pitch when you're trying to win games in the Championship. So, and I appreciate that. I mean, he's one of them players where I feel like you appreciate them. I'd appreciate him even more, I think, if he wasn't here, because if we didn't even have him, I think in some of these games, I think we'd be in a worse position right now.
Yeah, 100%. I think you could easily give him the captain's armband as well, McLean.
He's shouty, isn't he? You wouldn't like to play against him. He's got that, and the way how he filled in at left back. I know he's not necessarily got he is left footed, but he's not got the greatest wand of a left foot, and he can, as I said, make errors, but I appreciate him for what he's done, and I wouldn't surprise me if people did vote for him this season for player of the season. So anything else you kind of want to say, mate, for this video?
I don't know really. I mean, just hopefully, obviously what we've got Sheffield United next on the date of recording this video.
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure's on, really, isn't it? The pressure really is on right now. It's not. I don't think I'd be massively disappointed if we don't get top 6. I think we've had a bit of a obviously change in managerial with Wagner coming in, so give him a summer and a pre-season. But like you said, mainly let's kind of progress some of these youngsters in the squad. Not only just the youngsters, but all the players in the squad. And just have a bit of a kind of move around with players perhaps throughout the summer. I'd be happy with a couple more seasons in the Championship.
Yeah, for the financial aspect, I wouldn't, but I can completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, in terms of the players,
we need to build this team up, don't we? And we're not going to get anywhere doing that at the moment in the Prem, because any sort of looking up that we have, people are too good in the Premier League, aren't they? They've had too much money, and I think that's a great way to kind of end it on.
I think the thing that worries me is, I think, you look at these players like Sarah, Gunn, eventually, it will get to the point where we need to gain this Premier League status just to keep them at our club. Because I think at some point, there will be clubs knocking on the doors for these players.
100%. I think as soon as this summer even, and they might have to be part of the rebuild that Wagner has to do, so that's a shame. But what I'll say right now is subscribe to Robbo Zini, and thank you for coming on.
Much appreciated.
And subscribe to myself.
Subscribe to Posted by Callum.
Posted by Callum. And sorry if I've been rusty. It's been a while since I've done a video. So I think we need to try and get a target. Let's try and get another video next month, and then keep building on. And so we keep it consistent, because it's great to make videos like this. And if you're a Norwich fan, let us know in the comments what you thought of this season. And be honest, do you think Liam Gibbs was player of the season? Because I'm still curious about that one, Rob.
From minute one, he's been good. He's been
Right.
good. Whereas Sarah from minute one,
Right.
questionable.
Okay, mate. Fair
Questionable.
enough. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Rob, and I'll see you guys all soon. Thanks.
See you later.